ATCC, HED.
HED, go.
Yeah, I can give you step 930, and I have fill-ins when you're ready.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Op number is 80. Run number is 3. RTOMI log number is LCC5-042909-001.
Copy all. QC? QC, copy.
And I can also give you step 1139. Confidence checks are complete. That's 1137, I'm sorry.
Copy that, 1137.
This is Shuttle Launch Control. 18 minutes remaining in our hold at T-minus 9 minutes, and the team is working no technical issues. Weather appears to be clearing.
NTD STM. Go ahead. A report back from the CCC. They did the SIC reset, and it did not work, so it still remains down. They're going to stay this way through count. Copy that. SP, did you copy? SP copies and concurs. Thank you.
Sixteen and a half minutes remaining in our hold. Mission Management Team Chairman Mike Moses has conducted a poll of the MMT. We're standing by for a poll from NASA Test Director Steve Payne, polling the various test conductors, including those responsible for the vehicle, spacecraft, the range, the tracking stations, and mission control. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. 14 minutes, 45 seconds remaining in the hold. Shuttle Weather Officer Kathy Winters reports to STS-127 Launch Director Pete Nikolenko that she's working no issues. We're green on all launch constraints. They're expecting no anvil clouds within 10 nautical miles of Kennedy, and she now lists the percentage of weather affecting launch less than 10. So less than 10% chance that weather will impede launch. And we'll continue to wait for the polls and hear the status on mission control, the Spaceflight Meteorology Group's assessment of the shuttle landing facility. We're looking inside firing room 4 here at the Launch Control Center at Kennedy Space Center, where the launch team is working and preparing Space Shuttle Endeavour for launch today. The team has been hard at work for hours, monitoring all the systems, troubleshooting minor issues here and there. Nothing of major consequence has been standing in the way, though, of today's launch attempt, and it looks like perhaps weather is going to cooperate. This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 9 minutes and holding. 10 minutes remain in the hold. We're working no technical constraints. Shuttle launch weather is totally green. And in Houston, the Spaceflight Meteorology Group has given a go observed condition and go forecast for return to launch site abort weather. So weather is green all the way across the board, and at this point there are no issues standing in the way of a launch of Space Shuttle Endeavour at 6:03 and 10 seconds Eastern Time today.
OTCC PVD. PVD go. Yes, I'll give you step 1121, payload bay purge, flow rate set for launch, and step 1118 is not performed. Copy that, QC. QC copies.
This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 9 minutes and holding. Once Endeavour launches this evening, the primary focus will be to complete the construction of Japan's Kibo laboratory attached to the International Space Station. Kibo, which means hope in Japanese, is the country's major contribution to the station. And the exposed facility that Endeavour is taking up is a platform that can hold up to 10 experiment payloads at a time, measures 18.4 feet wide, 16.5 feet high, and a little more than 13 feet long. Kibo is equipped with its own airlock and robotic arm for external experiments, and its experiments and systems are operated from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's control center called the Tsukuba Space Center just north of Tokyo. Six minutes, 30 seconds remaining in our hold at T-minus 9 minutes. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
CISL, JRPS in Houston flight. Perform the L-15-minute recorder activation. ISL?
ISL copies.
RPS?
RPS copies.
And flight.
Houston flight copies.
MS-1 OTC, activate V10 recorder.
OTC MS-1, V10 recorder activation is complete.
Copy, sir.
Attention on the net. This is the NTD conducting the launch status check. All stations, verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC?
OTCs go.
TBC?
TBC go.
PTC? PTC is go. LPS?
LPS is go.
Flight?
Houston flight is go.
MILA?
Milo's go.
STM?
STM is go.
Safety console?
Safety consoles go.
SPE?
SP is go, sir.
LRD? LRD is go. SRO?
SRO is go. You have a range clear to launch.
And CDR? CDR is go. And Launch Director, NTD, the launch team is ready to proceed.
All right, Launch Director copies. I'll conduct my poll. KSC Processing Chief Engineer, verify no constraint to launch.
No constraints.
Copy, thanks, Steve. KSC Shuttle, Safety and Mission Assurance.
KSC SMA is go.
Copy that, thanks, Barry. KSC Payload Launch Manager.
Pete, ISS Ground Processing, and our Jackson partners are go.
Copy, thank you, Bill. Range weather.
Weather has no constraints for launch.
Copy, thank you, Kathy. And Ops Manager.
See, Pete, you've done a great job leading the team to this point through all the hurdles that were thrown at us. The MFT isn't tracking any issues. Looks like this is our day. You're go to launch.
Copy, thank you, sir. And Endeavour Launch Director.
Go ahead.
All Roman, the vehicle's ready. Our support teams are definitely ready. And the weather is finally cooperating, so it is now time to fly. Persistence pays off. Good luck and Godspeed.
Pete, thanks to you and everyone that's worked so hard for this moment. Endeavour's patiently waited for this. We're ready to go, and we're going to take all of you with us on a great mission. Thanks a lot.
Copy that. And NTD Launch Director, you have a go to launch Endeavour.
Copy. Go for launch. Thank you. Attention on the net. The countdown clock will start in 3 minutes.
This is Shuttle Launch Control. 3 minutes remaining in the hold at T-minus 9 minutes, and we have a go for launch. Liftoff is planned for 6:03 and 10 seconds p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. for Space Shuttle Endeavour to begin its STS-127 mission to the International Space Station.
NTD-CSO. Go ahead. Quarter activation complete. Copy.
Two minutes remaining in our hold. T-minus 9 minutes and holding. Coming up on 1 minute remaining in the count. And we are at 10 minutes away from the launch of Space Shuttle Endeavour. Just a few seconds away from resuming the countdown for the launch of Endeavour.
Countdown clock will resume on my mark.
3, 2, 1, and we are at 10 T-minus 9 minutes and counting.
Sequence has been initiated.
And the ground launch sequencer has been initiated. All countdown functions are now automatically controlled by the GLS computer located in the firing room integration console. NASA Test Director Steve Payne is about to call for the transmittal of stored pre-launch commands. T-minus 8 minutes, 20 seconds.
PLT, connect the central buses to fuel cells per your checklist.
PLT can work.
T-minus 8 minutes and counting. Pilot Doug Hurley is now flipping switches in the cockpit to directly connect the 3 fuel cells to the essential power buses.
OTC PLT, essential buses are connected to the fuel cells.
Copy that.
T-minus 7 minutes, 43 seconds. T-minus 7 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. And the orbiter access arm now is being retracted away from Endeavour.
Endeavour, the world will be watching as you complete the Kibo module, making the Japanese a fully functional partner. Ite Roshai. Have a nice trip.
You bet, thank you.
Those are words from orbiter test conductor Doug Palin to Commander Mark Polanski. The orbiter access arm is the walkway used by the crew to gain entry into the shuttle, and it can be returned to position within seconds if necessary. T-minus 6 minutes, 45 seconds and counting. No problem standing in the way of this evening's launch of Space Shuttle Endeavour.
JRPS, start APU display recorders.
APU recorders are running.
PLT, perform APU pre-start.
Pre-start on work.
T-minus 6 minutes, 8 seconds and counting, and the orbiter test conductor has given pilot Doug Hurley the go-ahead to perform the auxiliary power unit pre-start procedure. The APUs provide pressure to the shuttle's 3 hydraulic systems, which move the main engine nozzles and aero surfaces during flight.
OTC PLT, 3 gray talkbacks.
Copy that, sir.
And that's a good report. Doug Hurley reports the pre-start of the APUs is complete. APU activation will come momentarily. T-minus 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Everything is go. T-minus 5 minutes and counting.
Orbiter APU start. PLT, perform APU pre-start.
APU start work.
Pilot Doug Hurley is performing a start of the auxiliary power units.
Here, reconfig is complete.
And Commander Mark Polanski has reconfigured heaters. The launch team has terminated liquid oxygen replenish to the external tank and is now initiating LOX drainback.
OTC PLT, 3 good APUs.
Copy that, sir.
All 3 auxiliary power units working well. T-minus 4 minutes.
DLS is go for purge sequence 4.
A final helium purge of the 3 main engines is underway in preparation for engine start. And a final test of the flight control surfaces is now being conducted. It's a pre-programmed pattern of movements designed to verify the readiness for launch of the flight control surfaces, the elevons, speed brakes, and rudder. T-minus 3 minutes, 26 seconds and counting. Final aero surface checks are complete, and Endeavour's 3 main engines will be gimbaled through a pre-programmed series of maneuvers as a final test before launch. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. Final pressurization of the external tank's liquid oxygen tank is underway.
Go for ET LO2 pressurization.
And we're completing the purge of the shuttle main engines.
PLT, clear caution and warning memory. Verify no unexpected errors.
And work.
The gaseous oxygen vent hood, or beanie cap, is slowly being retracted away from the top of the external tank. External fuel cell loading is terminated, and Endeavour's fuel cells are using their onboard reactants.
OTC PLT, no unexpected errors.
Copy that. Endeavour, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow.
Endeavour copied.
T-minus 2 minutes and counting. Liquid hydrogen replenish of the external tank is now being terminated. T-minus 1 minute, 40 seconds and counting. All systems are go. About 90 seconds from the launch of Shuttle Endeavour.
30 seconds.
T-minus 1 minute, 10 seconds. T-minus 1 minute and counting. The ground launch sequencer will verify that the 3 main engines are ready to start. The booster joint heaters are being deactivated at this time. T-minus 50 seconds. We're transferring to orbital internal power. Endeavour is now running off of its 3 onboard fuel cells. Coming up on a go for auto sequence start at T-minus 31 seconds.
TLS is go for auto sequence start.
T-minus 27 seconds and counting. Endeavour's onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions. T-minus 18 seconds.
15.
The sound suppression water system has been activated, protecting Endeavour and the launch pad from acoustical energy. We're go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Endeavour, completing Kibo and fulfilling Japan's hope for an out-of-this-world space laboratory.
Houston, Endeavour, roll program.
Roger, roll Endeavour.
This is Mission Control Houston. Endeavour's roll maneuver is being completed. It's now going into a heads-down position on track for its flight to the International Space Station. Flying at 400 miles per hour, 1 mile in altitude and 7 miles downrange already from the Kennedy Space Center. Endeavour's engines were throttling down as the orbiter passes through the area of maximum pressure on the vehicle, now 50 seconds into the flight.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Go at throttle up.
The 3 engines on board are throttling back up. Endeavour flying at 1,100 miles per hour, 10 miles in altitude, and 10 miles downrange. At liftoff, the fully fueled shuttle boosters and external tank weighed 4.5 million pounds. The total thrust at launch was 6,425,000 pounds. 1 minute 33 seconds into the flight, Endeavour flying at 1,900 miles per hour, 17 miles in altitude, and 16 miles downrange. All systems continue to function well. Endeavour has 3 good main engines, 3 good power generating fuel cells, and 3 good auxiliary power units for the hydraulic system. We'll be standing by for burnout and separation of the solid rocket boosters. Combined, the twin boosters provide 5.3 million pounds of thrust to propel the orbiter towards space. The booster officer confirms the SRBs, or solid rocket boosters, have separated. 2 minutes and 20 seconds into the flight. Endeavour flying at 3,100 miles per hour, 37 miles in altitude, and 51 miles downrange.
Endeavour, 2-engine Marone.
2-engine Marone.
Roman, on L1, we'd like high-load duct heater to Alpha Slant Bravo.
Complete.
Copy.
Commander Mark Polanski adjusting a heater on the environmental control and life support system. Endeavour can reach Marone in the event of a single engine failure. However, all 3 main engines are still operating well. Now 3 minutes, 20 seconds into the flight. Endeavour is flying at 4,000 miles per hour. Booster officer confirms that all 3 engines are performing well. Endeavour at an altitude of 56 statute miles and 120 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center.
Endeavour, negative return.
Negative return.
Roman, the extra duct heaters were because we saw a little cooling in the ducts.
Copy.
Now 4 minutes and 18 seconds into the flight, Endeavour is now flying too high and too fast to return to the Kennedy Space Center and the Space Shuttle landing facility in the event of an engine failure. All 3 Space Shuttle main engines continue to function well. The Environmental Systems Officer also confirmed that the flash evaporator system has been activated to provide cooling before the payload bay doors are open in orbit.
Endeavour, press to ATO. Select Zaragoza.
Press to ATO, select Zaragoza.
Now 5 minutes and 22 seconds into the flight, Endeavour could now reach a lower than planned orbit, but a safe orbit on 2 engines should one fail. All 3 engines are still operating well.
Endeavour, single engine ops 3.
Single engine ops 3.
Endeavour could conduct a transatlantic abort landing on 1 engine should 2 fail at this point, all 3 continuing to perform well. Endeavour is flying at 8,300 miles per hour, 67 miles in altitude, 350 miles downrange. Endeavour's engines have been commanded to swivel to put the orbiter in the proper heads-up position. That for communications with the tracking and data relay satellites.
Endeavour, press to MECO.
Press to MECO.
And single engine Zaragoza 104.
Single engine Zaragoza 104.
6 minutes, 30 seconds into the flight. That call about press to MECO.
Nominal shutdown plan. Go for the plus X, go for the pitch.
Copy, nominal shutdown, go plus X, go pitch.
Endeavour can reach the planned orbit on 2 engines, however all 3 continuing to perform well. And the shutdown plan of those engines is nominal, as Capcom Alan Poindexter indicated to Commander Mark Polanski.
Endeavour, single engine press 104.
Single engine press 104.
7 minutes and 12 seconds into the flight, Endeavour can reach its planned orbit on 1 engine should 2 fail, and all 3 are continuing to perform well. Endeavour is flying at 12,700 miles per hour, 65 miles in altitude, and 613 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. 7 minutes, 35 seconds into the flight, and the engines are throttling down to maintain structural limits on the orbiter as it passes or approaches loads near 3 times gravity. 8 minutes, 31 seconds into the flight, booster officer confirms the main engine cutoff. And external tank separation is confirmed. Endeavour and its STS-127 crew in orbit. Continuing on the mission to the International Space Station.
Nominal MECO, ohms 1, not required.
Endeavour copies.
The main engine cutoff was performed as expected. There is no adjustment of the orbit expected for the first optional use of the orbital maneuvering system engines. The crew on board Endeavour is setting up for the handheld photography of the external tank. Now 10 minutes and 34 seconds into the flight. The Space Shuttle Endeavour continuing on its path to the International Space Station. That link up scheduled for Friday. Crew on board includes Commander Mark Polanski, pilot Doug Hurley, Mission Specialist 1 Chris Cassidy, who served as the flight engineer on the climb to orbit, Mission Specialist Julie Payette served as the flight engineer. Mission Specialist Tom Marshburn, Dave Wolf, and Tim Copra were on the middeck. Endeavour's mission specialist Tim Copra is on his way to the space station, which will be his home in space, for a expedition mission at the complex. He'll be replacing flight engineer Koichi Wakata aboard this station, who has spent 122 days in space, 120 of them on board the International Space Station. He launched to the complex aboard Discovery on March 15th. The team here in the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room is monitoring systems on board Endeavour and getting ready to set up for the operations in space. The next maneuver of Endeavour will be with the orbital maneuvering system engines in about 23 minutes and 45 seconds, using that as the OMS 2 burn to more circularize the orbit. This is Mission Control Houston, standing by here on NASA television for replays of the launch of the Space Shuttle Endeavour and expecting the post-launch news conference around the top of the hour at 6 p.m. Central Time.
Endeavour Houston for Chunky. Your go for APU hide shutdown.
Copy, go for APU hide shutdown. Houston Endeavour, here comes Ops 105 if you're ready.
Endeavour Houston, we copy, and we see you in 105. And Roman, we'll take auto on the DAP when you're ready.
Okay, we're just letting the guys finish a couple of pictures, and as soon as they're done, we'll do that.
Okay, great. And preliminary OMS 2 TIG is 38:30, and you can type that in when you're ready for it.
Okay, we'll type that in now, 3830.
Endeavour Houston, you're go to load.
Copy, go to load.
Houston, Endeavour from the mid-deck, com check.
Endeavour Houston, on the mid-deck, we've got you loud and clear. Tim?
Same here.
Endeavour Houston for Chunky. MPS power down on time.
Okay, we copy that.
Endeavour Houston for Roman, your go to maneuver when you get there. We expect it to be about a 4.5-minute maneuver.
Okay, we'll go ahead and maneuver now. Houston Endeavour, comm check from the flight deck handheld mic.
Loud and clear on the handheld mic.
You too as well, Dex. Good to talk to you.
Welcome to space, Chris.
Thanks a lot.
Houston Endeavour, here comes ET umbilical door closure.
Thanks, Chunky. We're watching.